Today, we're heading into one of the most shocking confessions in criminal history. Imagine a serial killer who eluded justice for decades, leaving a trail of devastation across the country. Our story begins in the 1970s. A drifter with a dark side, he targeted the most vulnerable in society, those often overlooked by the system. His preferred method was brutal and personal, leaving little evidence for investigators. This killer struck from coast to coast, evading capture for decades. Arrested numerous times for various offences, he managed to slip through the cracks of the justice system time and time again. His victims were often marginalised women, those struggling with addiction or working as prostitutes. The perfect prey for a predator who knew how to hide in plain sight. Authorities had no idea they were dealing with a serial killer. The crimes were spread out, seemingly random, and the killer moved constantly, staying ahead of law enforcement. In 2012, our story takes a turn. Arrested on a minor charge, his DNA was entered into a national database. This seemingly routine procedure connected him to 3 unsolved murders from the 1980s. Convicted and sentenced to life in prison, it seemed justice had finally caught up with him, but the real horror was yet to be revealed. He confessed to more than 90 murders, 90. The details were chilling: names, locations, even sketches of his victims. He used a horrifyingly consistent method to murder his victims. He primarily targeted vulnerable women, often those who were marginalized, struggling with addiction or involved in prostitution. His approach was methodical and calculated. He would lure his victims with the promise of drugs or alcohol, gaining their trust before striking. Once alone with his victims, he would overpower them with his formidable physical strength. He strangled them to death, a method that left little forensic evidence behind. He claimed he derived pleasure from seeing the life drain from his victims' eyes, a macabre detail that underscores his chilling psychology. His ability to evade detection for decades was partly due to his transient lifestyle and his victims' marginalized status, which often led to less rigorous investigations by authorities. His detailed confessions, which included vivid recollections and sketches of his victims, provided crucial information for law enforcement, leading to the closure of numerous cold cases across the country. How did he remember so much? He claimed he relived each murder in his mind, like watching a movie. His memory was eerie, almost photographic. For the families of his victims, these confessions brought both pain and a measure of closure. After years of not knowing, they finally learned the fate of their loved ones. His confessions reshaped the landscape of criminal justice, highlighting flaws in the system that allowed a serial killer to operate for so long. The case underscored the importance of DNA technology and national databases in solving crimes. His story serves as a grim reminder of the darkness that can hide in plain sight. The meticulous nature of his confessions continues to aid law enforcement in closing cold cases. So, who is this killer who managed to evade justice for so long? His name is Samuel Little. With over 90 confirmed murders, he is the most prolific serial killer in American history. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the mind of a killer. Remember to stay curious, stay brave, stay haunted. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more revealing stories of unveiling the unseen.